What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And of course, it's the start of a brand new month, which means that we're here with a tier list video, updating you guys with the latest legend releases that happened in the previous month, talking about how I think that they compare and contrast with some of the other characters that we all know and love. This is currently last month's tier list, and I've reconstructed it here, along with the brand new icons of new characters that had been revealed and released in the previous month. We have Toki, 6+ Sabo, Straw Hat Pirates, we have Vivi and the Reiju, as well as 6+ Yamato. This is also including 6-star ones, so keep that in mind once we get to it, as well as Ulti and Page 1. So all of these are the brand new characters that arrived this month, which is actually a lot of units. I'm recording this video on the 28th of November 2021, so this is before the release of Reiju and Vivi, so keep that in mind. I don't personally own those characters, so my opinion on them may change as the months progress. But in terms of what we have here, this is the exact same tier list structure as last month. We're going to quickly just briefly go through all the tiers, see if I want to change any of the positions of the characters, and then we'll add the new ones to the list here. But before we do that, we need to talk about my criteria for the tier list. So first of which is the overall power of these units. Does this character do a lot of damage? Alternatively, what's the speed of the character? Can you go through content very fast? Are they a good unit to be farming content with in terms of the amount of time that you spend per quest? Are they reliable as captains as well? Also, what is their clear rate as a captain? Is there content out there that they literally just can't clear because of the unit's restrictions or drawbacks? And also, what is their usability and versatility? This is more focused around their usability, not only as a captain, but also as a crewmate. Are they usable in a lot of different teams, even on teams where they're not even boosted? That's definitely going to increase their positioning on my personal tier list. So that is the criteria of each of the characters in this tier list. So let's go ahead, jump down to tier 5 and have a brief look. Now, honestly, I am considering retiring tier 5. What I mean by that is basically dumping all the characters from tier 5 back into the general pool, and then kind of like squishing all the characters down to kind of mitigate some of the characters in these upper ranks here, just to kind of spread them out a bit more. And honestly, if I feel like doing that, I think that Rayleigh and Corazon should probably move up. Pudding actually might be another character that might need to move up as well. But if I'm going to put Rayleigh up in this next tier, I'm going to put him like around this tier here, and then Corazon is going to go basically wherever Rayleigh goes, even though Rayleigh is a slightly better unit because he's a little bit more usable in content. His special ability is really good, especially because you can get it to launch multiple times per turn or per quest, depending on your team composition, of course. Corazon's good, of course. He's got a lot of utility, but it's only by 3 turns, and his healing is nice though, so that's a really nice factor, both of which have amazing support effects. And then Pudding as well, I think I'd rate Pudding... Where would I rate Pudding? Probably around here, around the same tier as Cracker. I think, just looking at this, I saw Sanji Judge. They should not be that high. I would probably rate them a little bit higher than the Allman crew. That's probably what I would do. These characters are all like okay though, like they're not used that often. Like V2 Shanks is a good unit, but not really used that often. Same with like V3 Rayleigh, like actually a pretty good unit, but he's very difficult to build teams around because of his restriction, because you can only use his special during the turn you launch it. At least it's a damage dealing special, that's nice at least. V2 Big Mom did use a little bit throughout the month, especially with int-based teams during the GARP challenges. Like V2 Big Mom is a really nice unit for those GARP challenges, just generating so much power with one switch effect is really, really good. But the rest of these characters are basically whatever. Honestly, V2 Katakuri is going to get retired down to this tier. In terms of positioning, it doesn't really matter. I'm probably going to destroy this tier at the end of this month, and then distribute these characters accordingly. Moving up to this tier though, we kind of just touched up on most of these characters that we changed and added in here. Nami Robin is still really good. Yeah, Komurasaki is good still. Like, there's actually some pretty solid units in here, honestly. Like, with Luffy Zoro is an interesting one because I really don't use this character that often. Like, if I were, realistically, I would probably put him way lower. Like, yeah, probably better than Sanji Judge for sure. Like Lucy / Sabo is really good. Halloween Ace, great support, still a pretty good unit, good special. Katakuri is still relatively okay, especially after expansion, very, very good. And Carrot should be receiving Super Evolution next month. Dude, next month is going to be stacked. The first tier list of 2022, I mean, yeah, this is the last tier list of 2021. That's absolutely crazy. But the first tier list of 2022 is going to be crazy because we are going to have so many new characters that are going to be added into this tier list. There's lots to look forward to, especially with the super evolutions. A lot of characters are going to be changing positions. Moving on to tier 3 though, we've got Mihawk and Peruna still in the top tier, the top position here of tier 3. I think that's still okay. I think they're a really good unit. Magellan, man, The more I think about Magellan, the more I really don't like this unit. I honestly want to move him down a little bit more. The rest of these characters are still pretty good. Bullet's still really good. I love Bullet a lot. And the rest of these, I mean, Katakuri probably is still pretty good. Move him up a bit more, but the rest of these are okay. I don't really see too many issues with that. Now, Tier 2, let's have a look at this one. Now, honestly, with Tier 2, we may be making some changes with some of these upper ranks, because remember, we have a lot of new characters to be putting in this video today. So we have to make a couple of changes. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a little bit of shuffling right now so we can make way for some of the units that we'll be talking about in a little bit. Okay, so after a little bit of shuffling around, we have altered the position of a couple of these characters here, and you can see the top 5 no longer has 5 characters in it. We only have 4 characters. As I said, we're going to be adding some new characters very, very soon. But we also have only 4 characters in Tier 1. We are going to be putting another new character in Tier 0. And then in Tier 1 and Tier 2, we have made a couple of changes. Notable changes here is that Sanji and Sugar, which were previously in Tier 1, I have bumped them down to Tier 2 just to make sure that Tier 1 isn't bloated with a lot of characters. And that's something that I really don't like doing. I don't want to have a bunch of characters in one tier because it does kind of it makes it a bit confusing, right? The fact that so many characters in one tier, it's like, which one is the best of these units, right? It's hard to distinguish that. And a lot of these characters have different roles, right? We've got V2 Shirahoshi Mancherry and V1 Vivi Rebecca, who provide vastly different roles than a character such as Final Tap Kid, right? Obviously, completely different units. So it is hard to compare and contrast these units. But in general, these are some of the best characters in the game. I did actually shuffle the position around of some of these units here. I moved Fire Tank Pirates up over a couple characters. Kaido versus Big Mom is a big one. I did move them down quite a lot. They were in like the middle of Tier 0. I have bumped them down because after this current month that just passed, I found like some of the other characters on this list, such as Shanks' crew was very usable this month, such as the Fire Tank were really good. I finally got a chance to use them. Thank God that I pulled them this month. Absolutely amazing unit to use. And we've got King and like Final Tap Kid. These units are so strong, and I found them to be way more fun and way more viable in a lot of content compared to Kaido versus Big Mom. Not saying that they're a bad unit at all, I just found that the other units that are above them, I found them to be better choices for content comparatively to this unit. But don't mistake in what I'm saying, there is still a very amazing unit to have. I think Moria is still one of the best legends in the game. I'm going to continuously ride that wave until the end of time. He is such a powerful unit, especially because he does boost 2 of the best classes in the game, being Driven and Powerhouse, providing great damage output, providing great healing potential, and a really good special ability that can give you multiple turns of boost, an orb locking super type special, an orb changing special. Everything about this unit is awesome, and for those who disagree with Moria being so highly ranked, then you guys are silly billies because he is absolutely ridiculous. I think Queen is still one of the best legends in the game as well. Once again, Driven and Powerhouse related. Being able to automatically launch his special multiple times per quest is pretty ridiculous. But as for the top ranks, I do still think Roger is the overall best legend in the game. We've also got Ace versus Akainu, who are still amazing. Remember, we are combining these versus units, so when you take into account Ace and Akainu, yeah, this unit's still one of the best in the game. Ace and Sabo, I think, are also ridiculously powerful. However, one thing that I will say is that I am going to swap the position of Ace and Sabo and Whitebeard versus Shanks. I found that Whitebeard versus Shanks was a way more desirable unit to use in content. Yeah, for Kizuna Clash, Ace and Sabo are ridiculous. Very good for Strength Dex quick content. Very good if you got particularly shooters and Free Spirit on your team. That super swap effect that they have is ridiculous as well. But I absolutely love Whitebeard versus Shanks. This unit is just crazy in almost every way, and it's crazy to think about, right? Because when Whitebeard vs Shanks initially released, especially on Japan, a lot of people were reading his effects and thought he was the most mundane, boring unit in the game. But when you actually use him in content, you realize how powerful this unit actually is, providing attack boost or orb boost depending on which one you have active. The base attack boost on top of the boost that they already provide are ridiculous. Shanks giving multiple turns of a conditional boost, Whitebeard providing many turns of health cuts and damage reduction that you can spam pretty quickly, considering if you use him as a captain, you get a very high chance of landing those int slots. So yeah, I really do like Whitebeard versus Shanks. Definitely one of my favorite units in the game currently. But I guess it's about that time to start adding some of the new characters to the tier list. So I guess I'm going to go from like the bottom of the new characters, like from like the worst to the best in terms of where I'm going to be placing them. So I'm going to be putting Sabo on here first. So Sabo is a really good unit. I haven't actually had an opportunity to use this character yet. However, expect videos with him hopefully soon. I want to definitely make some videos with this unit because he's pretty cool, especially on paper when you read what he does. This character is basically a mirror of versus Ace, providing an attack boost instead of an orb boost from what he previously did, and now he is a chain booster instead of a chain locker. So he literally works perfectly with versus Ace. Also having a special ability that can apply the ignited status on the enemy. His captain ability is still annoying in the fact you have to continuously kill enemies in order to stack up his attack multiplier, but if used correctly, it's a pretty formidable character. I'm going to be leaving him in tier 2 for now, around the same tier as like Luffy Sanji and Sanji Pudding. However, you know, some of these other int characters like Law and Mihawk are pretty good units still that I think I'd rather use probably over this guy, but preemptively I'm going to leave him in this tier. So the next one on the list is going to be Reiju. So Reiju, obviously we don't have the release yet as of me recording this video, but comparing both the Vivi and the Reiju together, I do believe that Reiju is the least desirable of the two. Like, the thing about this unit is like, if you're up against poison content, any content that relies on poisoning you, then Reiju is going to be probably the most ideal captain to use for that content. Outside of that, it's like, why would you use Reiju when there are so many other better units that you could possibly be using as an int super type character? Would you rather use Reiju, or would you rather use like a Law, a Mihawk, I mean even a Marco at this point, a Bonnie? Like, at this point, I don't really see a point. And for that reason, I'm going to be putting Reiju like just below the Law and Mihawk, because currently I do still prefer Law and Mihawk a lot more. However, obviously the big thing about this character is not only are they boosting int, they're boosting cerebral, they're boosting powerhouse. That's pretty awesome that it gets a little bit of accessibility with that. And obviously the super type special does require you to have the effectiveness of having a full team of cerebral and powerhouse characters. But this character doesn't really provide you with matching slots either, unlike the other character that released in the same batch, which I do prefer a little bit more. Getting guaranteed slots is a pretty broken effect. We all can understand that, of course. I think Reiju is fine, but I need to see a little bit more before I'm certain as to where I'm putting her. The next character on the new list of units that we're going to be placing on the tier list is Ulti Page 1. Ulti Page 1 are also a pretty cool unit that actually just released, and they were kind of like the consolation prize of the Yamato Sugo Fest. I'm going to be placing them at the bottom of tier 1, however, they're probably just a little bit above this Luffy, even though this Luffy has such a good captain effect. The thing about Ulti Page 1 and what brings them down is two things mainly. Number one, the captain effect is garbage. I don't care what you say, they are absolutely terrible captains. I mean, I guess if you're up against content where you have to get around resilience, yeah, you could probably see a usage for their captain ability, but generally speaking, compared to every other unit on here, they have a pretty bad captain effect, and their special ability, meaning that they have to be against enemies that have 10 million or more HP. And if you guys saw my video about this unit in Garp challenges, for the worst generation Garp challenge, literally no enemy in that fight has over 10 million health, which makes their special borderline useless. So I really don't like that about the unit, but if you are up against enemies that have 10 million HP or more, this unit is busted because they give you a free conditional boost, a 2.25 conditional boost, and this is going to be a really good unit for many years to come. I feel just being able to generate a 2.25 times attack boost against any enemy that has high HP is pretty good, and that's never going to be a bad thing. The restriction, obviously, you need to have a driven or a powerhouse captain, but despite that, you love this unit. Plus, their super swap is crazy, providing essentially Wano Law's chain boundary effect to your team with a super swap. Like, what more could you ask for? Like, that super swap plus their special, crazy unit, and is going to see a lot of play moving forward. So the next character that we're going to be placing is going to be the Straw Hat Pirates. The Straw Hat Pirates, I mean, they're a very questionable unit, very divisive unit in the community. I'm in the camp of, I'm not the greatest fan of the unit, but I can understand what they were aiming for here. I'm going to be placing this unit above Wano Law for now, may change as the months progress. The captain ability is not really as good as what we were really expecting, considering it's a 2021 release. A base 4 times captain as a super type unit, could have definitely been a bit better. Obviously for themselves, 5 times boost, rainbow effectiveness if you're above 99% health, but their special ability obviously is the big draw to the character, providing like 8 or 9 different effects, including attack boost, color affinity, defensive effect removal, block or removal, beneficial effects, healing, delay. They do a lot of different things, and that's obviously the biggest reason why they're going to be in tier 1 here, because no other character in the game can provide any special that's anywhere near the effectiveness of the Straw Hat Pirates. And obviously works very well for characters that are able to hit super effective, considering they do provide that color affinity boost, they do provide matching slots. Like, they're just a really good, solid unit, but they're not that tier 0 status. They're not broken, they're just extremely solid. So the next character that we're going to be adding to the tier list here is going to be Vivi. Now, as we said, when we're recording before the actual Sugafest goes live, I hope I get lucky and end up pulling this Vivi, because she seems like a really awesome unit to use. And currently, I don't really know where I would place this unit. But looking on paper of what the unit does, obviously giving all block, matching slots, orb boost for multiple turns, and then a super tight special that can give you an attack boost, like basically your dedicated damage boosting unit, which means that you can provide the rest of your team to be utility in a lot of cases. Now, obviously, just an attack and orb boost is not going to be enough to kill a lot of content. Well, it will kill a lot of content, but obviously you need to, provide, conditional boost or color affinity or other damage boosting abilities. But for this unit by itself to provide attack and an orb boosting effect, especially because you can have this effect last for a really long time, and also the fact that this unit is a cerebral and a free spirit boosting unit means you can synergize well with some of the other really good units in this game that we already know are good free spirit units, right? Namely, Mr. Gold D Roger. So even though you have an effect like Vivi that can have an orb boost last multiple turns, and you're worried about the enemy removing your beneficial effects, Roger as a friend captain can aid in that endeavor, right? Which is pretty crazy. So anyways, where am I going to put Vivi? Currently, I'm going to be putting Vivi right below Final Tap Luffy. As I said, don't really know exactly if this is going to be the final position. I don't have this unit. A little bit hard to say, but at the moment, I feel comfortable putting her in tier 1, around the middle of tier 1. Okay, so we have 2 more characters left. We have Toki, we have 6+ Yamato, and we have 2 more positions to fill. We've got a tier 0 and a top 5 to fill. So the character we're putting in tier 0 is going to be Toki. Now, I think a lot of people, or at least a lot of people that we've seen in the Japanese community particularly, rate Toki extremely high. Myself personally, I don't know exactly where in this position I'm going to be putting her. I think, honestly, she deserves to be around the middle or the top. So I'm going to be putting her here for now. But I do understand that a lot of players in the community absolutely adore this unit. I have had a very good opportunity of playing around with this unit on GARP challenges, used her in PvP. This is not a PvP tier list, but I've used her in PvP. I've used her for the Kizuna, of course. This unit is very interesting, and I think this unit is going to see a lot more play moving forward. And the fact that you can essentially get a super tight Blackbeard max cap boost to 2 characters on your team, and not only doing that, but also resisting all of these debuffs that could inflict those 2 characters that you select as well. This has a lot of potential moving forward, and I think that the combination of Toki and the Straw Hat Pirates, especially because the Straw Hat Pirates can be super effective against all types, and if you can make both of your captains resistant to basically everything, you have their special to activate, which can not only give you color affinity on top of that, but also help you get around a lot of other debuffs like enemy defensive effects, get around block slots, and also they're resisting everything because of the Toki effect. That combo is interesting, and I really would like to explore that. And you've also got Vivi, not Vivi, but Shirahoshi Manshiri, which can allow you to get that huge healing mechanic in order to stay above 99% for them. So that combination of those 3 in particular is pretty crazy, and I'm looking forward to using this character a bit more in the future. I think easily deserves tier 0, but may even move up even a bit further as time progresses. But Toki's a fantastic Sugafest exclusive character. And of course, last but definitely not least is going to be Yamato. Now, I don't think it's a surprise to anybody that we're going to put Yamato at the very tippity top of this tier list here. Yamato easily is a top 5 best unit in the game, in my personal opinion. Now, where does she rank? Currently, in my eyes, I think she is the 2nd best unit in the game. Some people think she is the best unit in the game. Some people don't even think she's top 5, and those people are silly, because this unit is really, really good. I think this unit is one of the best units in the game for multiple different reasons. The fact that you have a captain ability that can resist bind, just that in general, is awesome, especially because it synergizes perfectly with Roger. We already know the synergies with Roger and Yamato, but I mean, even Stampede Luffy, where is my man Stampede Luffy? He's around here somewhere. Stampede Luffy can also synergize very well with that unit as well, being able to get around paralysis and despair with Stampede Luffy and then bind with Yamato. like either of those synergies is so good. Plus she boosts striker and also psi units, but you got to remember there's also the unevolved version that you can use for driven units as well, or int characters. So you've got a lot of different variety there. Their special ability changing matching slots like Odin into Wano slots, but also changing block slots into Wano. And block slots are definitely a very common occurrence in content in 2021. Being able to launch her special to change them into Wano, and when they get changed into Wano, the enemy cannot change them into anything else. And then you got a super type which can lock those slots for multiple turns and giving you a chain multiplier on top of everything else. Her special providing also that huge chain boost, 1.3 as a 6-star plus, 1.1 as a 6-star, and the increased damage taken buff as well, taking components of Kaido legends that we've seen as plus as components of Odin's legend into one unit is incredible, and a very high damage ceiling as well, being able to provide, you know, ranging between the 4.75 to 5 times boost, getting access to Wano slots, getting a chain boost in the captain effect, as well as chain boost with the special and a chain multiplier with the super type. This character hits really, really hard, and obviously has the best final tap in the game as well, being able to double the chain multiplier when this character does their final attack. I don't think it's any discussion that this unit is a top 5 best unit in the game. Obviously, it's up to your opinion. It's obviously completely subjective. You do not have to agree with how I rank my characters, but in my opinion, I think Roger is the best unit in the game still, and I think Yamato is a pretty close second, and I think that Ace versus Akainu as a combined unit is definitely one of the best units in the game for sure. I mean, like the 4th and 5th spot, interchangeable with a lot of other units here, obviously, but it is, you know, your opinion at the end of the day. I'm just giving you guys my opinion and my experience with some of these Sugo Fest exclusives, and this is what I think currently are the best units in One Piece Treasure Cruise. But let me know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section. I really hope you guys have enjoyed this video today, and if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to go ahead and leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all of the content that I post on my channel, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But other than that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.